Muévete en el espejo, muévete en el espejo, enamórate del... Let me start over, I got nervous. Hi, we're back with another episode of Caile. And we've been knocking these out really fast. We had one last night, and literally we're back at it again. So today's a really, really special guest. This is Ivan. I would consider you a friend, Ivan. He's definitely a work friend, but now you're here at our home. I told Ivan when he walked in, this is where I spend all my free time. So now you get to be here with us. And why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
Sure. What's up, everybody? My name is Ivan. I'm a human being. I am a person, but also for work, I'm an attorney. Specifically, I do a lot of entertainment law, mostly in the music space, and more specifically, mostly in the Latin music space. That's how I had the pleasure of meeting Gabriela, the fabulous host of this podcast. And I've been extremely blessed and fortunate to, be in this position, in this role. I feel like there's not too many of us, people of color, Latinos, indigenous, native people, in these types of roles. So I, take my position very seriously. I have a lot of pride in it. And, I'm very excited to be here.
Hell yeah.
I'm very excited to be alive, breathing air.
Right. And clean air.
Clean air. Well, we'll see how clean it is.
Richmond, shout out Richmond for the clean air. Tell me how you got into entertainment law.
Sure. Yeah. So, I was a really smart kid. I was a smart ass. I thought I was smarter than everybody. Barely did my homework, but I could just kind of get through school. Always wanted to. I grew up in Philadelphia, so my whole family's still out there. But I always wanted to move to California. I really liked the movies. Every time I would watch movies, I would be like, that doesn't even really make sense. I could write a better movie. So I really like movies. That's kind of why I wanted to come to California. So when I was in high school, I had good grades, did well on all my tests. So I was looking at colleges, and pretty much California was where I wanted to be. I was really lucky. I got into the University of California in Santa Barbara. And pretty much the first semester I was there, I took a intro to the Hollywood industry, and I was hooked. So I declared a major in film and media studies, got super into screenwriting, made a couple short films. And of course, as a writer, you always write yourself into the script. So I was doing some acting, some directing, kind of doing it all. Then I finished in Santa Barbara after 3 years because I never wanted to go home. I stayed throughout the summer, and my excuse to my mom for not going home was I'm doing summer school, and I had little jobs. So I stayed out there, was able to finish early, and was kind of confused after I graduated. I wasn't entirely sure what I wanted to do. I knew most of the industry was in Los Angeles, and I figured I would end up there. Law school just kind of seemed like a means to an end. Okay, I can learn about copyright, I can learn about trademark, I can learn about name and likeness rights, all these rights that are behind, the intellectual property. And I can learn how to represent myself, underrepresented person. I can learn how to represent myself as a writer, as a creator, but I can also learn to represent people like me, right? Musicians, writers, creators, whatever it may be. So, I studied for the LSAT. I was super lucky to get into a school in Los Angeles, Southwestern Law School, that at the time was kind of advertising itself as, one of the top entertainment law schools. And pretty much from there, I was just really focused on, what is entertainment law, right? So copyright law, trademark law, motion picture production law, music industry contracts, pretty much any entertainment courses they offered. I was there, and I was super attentive. I mean, this is what I wanted to do, so I made it my priority. Like, I made it be important. So was able to get some good internships. I kissed a lot of ass to my professors, especially the ones that were pretty renowned. The professor I took entertainment law with, he literally wrote the book. He wrote the book on entertainment law. So, I was like in his office, like any moment he had office hours, I was there just like asking him questions, getting to know him. When you put forth effort, when you put forth energy into something that you want, that you can start to like create, that vision for yourself, right? So after I graduated law school, I took the bar a couple times. As a crazy test, 3-day test, 6 hours each day. Honestly, it's a tough industry, and the entertainment industry is very competitive. In Los Angeles, I mean, good luck finding a job unless your like uncle is the CEO. It's very hard to get in. So I took so many interviews with these big companies. Everybody looks for experience, or they want to pay you nothing. I mean, if you want to go to an agency, you're going to start off in the mailroom. CAA, that's their standard. You start off in the mailroom and you work your way up, and you get paid hardly anything. And for somebody who's, had to take out a bunch of loans for school, doesn't live in California, it's tough. It's tough. So I had to take pretty much any job I could get. And I just hustled. I just really hustled. I was fortunate to have a lot of friends in, making music, making, films. So those are my people, right? So I stuck close to my people, and I protected my people. Like, that's what they would come to me for. So as you kind of like, as I just was in LA with, I started managing a couple DJs, and, you just kind of slowly like get your foot in, and when you have a good client, then you better move mountains for your client. They need to know that you have your back, or you have their back, and they can rely on you when things are coming in. If you have, for example, one of my very first clients, he's a producer. He's mostly known for his stuff with Bad Bunny, and when these records started coming in, a music producer, do you think he knows anything about a contract? Like, that's not. Producers get paid to make music. Lawyers get paid to look over contracts, right? You got everybody needs their role in the team, right? Like a basketball team. You got the point guard, you got the center, you got the shooting guard. Everybody needs to play their role. That's how an efficient team works. So I mean, I got super lucky. I feel like a lot of it too is just luck. You meet somebody, they end up being a good client. They get a Bad Bunny record, and then that pretty much changed everything.
What would you say is the most challenging part about working with somebody like a producer who has no experience, and then having to come in and educate your client and also defend them to the best of your ability?
I mean, it's really tough. I mean, the industry is very cutthroat. No pun intended. But it's a very cutthroat industry. I mean, you have to be willing to make sacrifices. I mean, when you're starting out, yeah, I'm sure you want to get, royalties on the record. I'm sure you want to get, 25% or 50% of the publishing. I'm sure the credit, you'll pretty much always get credit. Sometimes there's situations when you won't get credit, and it's terrible. But you have to be willing to make sacrifices. Like, there was a couple times, because this producer, his name's Bird, he's got a few records with Bad Bunny, but they're tough. There's times when I've asked for royalties on the record, and they tell me, all right, well, We're taking your track off the album. I mean, for a producer who's starting off, having a record on Bad Bunny's like #1 global album, like that's tough. So you have to, sometimes you have to accept, a lesser cut, no royalties, just to get your foot in the door. And I mean, that's what I've had to do as well. Like, I was as an attorney, you can make a lot of money. As a new entertainment attorney, I had to take pretty much a 50% salary cut. Like that was what I had to do to get in, right?
To sacrifice. I think that's what I'm taking a lot from your testimony, and I'm really glad. Thank you so much for sharing all that you're sharing these things, because those things are important. And that's crazy to see the perspective of like somebody else on the same big team, and you have your own set of challenges. Okay, I have some questions for you. What would your advice be to an up-and-coming artist, and how can you advise them about getting representation and acquiring an attorney?
So for up-and-coming artists, it's a really tough game. I mean, it's very competitive. These days, you can make music in your bedroom. You can make music in the car. You can take out your phone, record something, make a track out of it. So it's really competitive. You don't need a top-notch, high-class studio. People make music in their bedroom. So you need to be willing to work super, super hard. I've come across artists and they get their first deal and they think that they've made it. And the first deal is literally just the first step to work even harder. That first check, if you blow it, I mean, you blow it. It's gone. Like there's only so many avenues of money that you can kind of claim, and once you exhaust it, it's done. Like,
is that common for artists to blow their first check?
I mean, it's really tough a lot of artists come from difficult backgrounds, and when you come from a difficult background and you don't have means and you've always strived to, wear the Gucci, wear the Louis Vuitton, and then all of a sudden you get a bag, you get a check. I mean, that if you get a $15,000 check, $50,000 check, $100,000 check, that check can go quick. That check can go really quick. And when you get these big advances, if it's a 3-year term, you got paid $100,000 for 3 years. That's essentially your salary for the 3 years. If you blow it in a weekend, there's no more money. So you really have to be willing to just especially when you get your first deal, you better work twice as hard. That's what I usually tell artists. The other thing is you have to have like a really good team, like people that will be there, people that will have your back. As far as attorneys, it's tough. If you can get an attorney, that's a really good starting point. If you want a top Beverly Hills, top music attorney, you usually have to have at least some momentum, and it's tough. It's really tough. So, hopefully your streams are doing well. Hopefully you're active on social media. I mean, these days, like TikTok, YouTube Shorts, people consume content so quickly. I mean, the attention span, especially of like Gen Z, it's like, it just keeps getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter.
How have you personally seen the industry change with things like TikTok or YouTube Shorts?
I mean, that's where all the marketing dollars go. It's not, you're not putting so much money in the radio, These days, your marketing plan is the playlisting on, Spotify, Apple, all the DSPs, wherever you consume your music, playlisting, and then especially for getting new listeners, building your fan base, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, it's not so much of a clear-cut conversion. You can have 2 million followers and 2,000 streams. Just because you have a big following on Instagram doesn't mean you're gonna get a lot of streams. And the other thing is too, is that you need to make good music. You really need to make good music, and you need to make music that resonates with your, whoever your fans are. And if that's, it varies, right? Everybody needs to have their own brand. Like, I need to be able to go to your Instagram or go to your Spotify page and know exactly who you are just by the way that you look, your name, titles of your tracks. And then when I start listening, like, I need to get like pulled in. I want to be a part of your world, right? That's what we love about artists. They're thinking at like, almost it's like they're in the future almost, and you want to buy into that story, right? You want to be part of that world that they're in, So that's kind of how I've seen things change. I mean, the music industry is like always changing. It's always changing. I mean, even this past year with the Música Mexicana, I mean, I wouldn't even call it regional Mexican music anymore. It's global. It's global music. Mm-hmm. So, especially for these artists, you really have to be able to adapt, and you need to be able to use these tools. If you're an artist and you're not on TikTok and you're not on YouTube Shorts and you're not like bringing people into your world, then I would say you're probably losing the game right now.
Thank you so much. That's such good advice, especially because we use things like TikTok and Instagram. Well, you're saying Instagram is kind of hit or miss, but TikTok and YouTube every day. So to know that it's like such an important tool and can also be detrimental if you're not partaking, right? So yeah, talk to me more about the regional Mexican genre in the music space, and like as an attorney, how you've seen the dots connect, because I feel like something people don't know is that the attorneys have a lot of influence in on the lower ground, like between artists, right? So you can kind of see the weather from like a higher view than we can as artists or as people down here in the field. So what can you share about that?
Absolutely. I mean, it's been a really huge shift. I mean, it's almost mind blowing. I feel like last year with Bad Bunny, reggaeton was on the top of the charts, and this year it's just been like a complete switch. Reggaeton is actually kind of on the decline. The numbers, I mean, if you look at the reggaeton albums, the streaming numbers aren't there, and where the streaming numbers are is in the Mexican, the regional Mexican, the Música Mexicana. I mean, it's on top of the charts. Peso Pluma, I mean, this kid just really, I think, just kind of like skyrocketed the industry. And right now, at least from what I'm seeing, I would say almost, I don't want to say 100% but I would say 80 to 90% of all of our new clients, all of the deals that I'm seeing goes back to the regional Mexican artists.
Viva Mexico. Hell yeah, we're taking over. That's such a good news. I love being Mexican already, but the fact that all of this is happening while I'm like at my prime is super exciting. And just to know other people like yourself taking up space and achieving goals, getting it together, and everybody's looking, so it's a lot of fun. Tell me like your favorite part about doing what you do.
I feel like with any job, you have your good days and your bad days. I mean, I have a lot of volume of work. I mean, if you look at my emails right now, I probably have like, after 2 years of working at a high caliber firm, I think I have like 40,000 emails in my inbox
that you have to answer to.
No, that I've just accumulated over the 2 years. I mean, usually on a chill day, I'll wake up to about like 10 to 15 emails. On a busy day, I'll probably wake up to like 30, 40, even more.
Have you been trying to get a hold of Ivan? He's letting you know why he's not getting back to you.
This is why I don't get back to you.
This is why. So I'm actually really honored that you're sitting here in front of me in this moment.
Appreciate that. I mean, it's a balance. You really have to prioritize, and you also have to prioritize yourself. You have to do things for yourself, otherwise you're going to burn out. But I love being able to do something different every single day. I love to be able to talk to my clients who are human beings that have histories, that have families, that have stories, that are just trying to make their life better. That we're all trying to survive here. We're all human beings. We're all guests of this world, right? So I love to be able to do that. And when you have a client who's really ambitious and who has a lot of goals, to be able to tell that client, like, hey, I got that deal for you, or you know what, everything that you wanted, we got it in the deal. It's just, it's a great feeling. It's very fulfilling. And, people look to you, people come to you for advice. Like, if you have, I'm a lawyer, right? That's my job, is to deal with people's problems, right? And not just like, oh, my mom's like not, my mom wants me to like, do more chores at the house. It's like, no, these are serious problems, especially if you're talking about litigation.
Right.
These are serious implications. If you're immigration, if you're in deportation proceedings, that means your ass is getting kicked out of this country,
right.
So, it's just a nice feeling to be able to help people, especially those who really deserve it. Like, I see it almost every day. I feel like artists, there's something inherent about artists to want to like create something beautiful and share it with the world. There's always something within them that is probably has been hurt, broken, trauma, tough life, tough family life, tough history. All of that stuff, I feel like creates this just sort of like momentum that makes you want to like just create something. Like when you come from a tough background, if you've had to survive, to just be alive in this world, I feel like you want to share that. You want people to know like your struggle and that you made it out, and you want to share that experience with people so that they can connect and be inspired by what you're putting out. So, sometimes you make dreams come true, and that's probably the best thing about the job.
It sounds like making people's dreams come true is like your own dream coming true, right? Which is really amazing, and I'm glad to hear that there's somebody like yourself in that level representing, people that need that type of representation. So thank you so much, Yvonne, for being on my show. I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for joining us today.
Of course.
And
Thanks for having
I hope
me.
you have a new home here in the Bay whenever you want to come pull up on us.
I love it.
Just hit us up. Y Caile.
I'll Caile.
Thank you, Yvonne. So nice to have you. Do you want to say your goodbyes? Despídete.
Hey guys, if you need somebody to help you out, you can always reach out. Might take a while to get to your email, but I promise I will read it.
You're
and try and get
47th
back
on
to
the
you.
queue.
Exactly.
This is the first time I was nervous.